Well, fears that Huawei retaliation already is starting. The company now rethinking its business with FedEx. This is companies like Apple and Nike also could be impacted by the ongoing feud. MarketWatch tech editor Jeremy Owens says retaliation against Apple and Nike will just damage their Chinese sales and boost knockoffs. But Jeremy, it's not stopping them from starting in that direction.
Sure. I mean, Huawei is going to react in some way, right? And we're going to start seeing ancillary negative effects for some of these companies, right? FedEx never thought they would get wrapped up in this. But now that they have, you're going to see, possible benefits for their competitors, such as ZTO, a Chinese company that does a lot of logistics and stuff like that, DHL, UPS, some of these other companies that are also in China. And that's the kind of ripple effects we're going to start seeing from this.
Now, there was a couple of extraordinary pieces. There was one Wall Street Journal piece over the weekend. It's about 20 pages long, a litany of all the ways in which Huawei has stolen our material, our secrets over the years. They get sort of like the Japanese back about 30 years ago. They get very good at replicating what we do, but they're not very good at innovation. That is, the innovation that we have is what they steal, and then they're better at replicating that than we are. Have I got that right?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, they're still trying to catch up from the last 30 years of innovation that we've already had, right? The U.S. has stopped China from buying chip companies way back into the Obama administration, right? We have had a concerted effort to keep them from getting our intellectual property and advancing to the point where they could be a competitor with the innovation we're coming out with now. They just have to have that background, that intellectual property from the last 30, 40, 50 years, where all that innovation has come from the United States in order to get to a competitor now where they need to go.
Now, one thing where they have gone is in replicating a lot of the stuff that has led them to be ahead of us in 5G. They have 10 times the number of 5G cell platforms than we do, et cetera. But I'm just wondering if to go to that next step that they're going to have to go to, whether they have the innovation after Huawei's been cut out of it by the Trump administration.
They should. I mean, they're really still sourcing from American companies, getting those chips, getting those components. We gave them a 90-day, so they're trying to push that through. We have seen a lot of purchasing out of China over the last 18 to 24 months. That may have been Huawei getting out ahead of this. As long as they have the components, they can build this, and they are going to keep down that road as far as they can go, because they need that 5G network just as bad as the U.S. does.
Well, now the question, I just got back from a trip to Europe. It was beautiful, and everywhere I went in Italy, particularly, you see these signs, these Huawei posters up there. Huawei is huge in Europe, in many places. What happens with Europe in this struggle between Huawei and the United States and 5G?
Well, it depends on if Europe's going to pick up. A lot of the Huawei ads you see over there are for smartphones, which aren't as big in the U.S., but they're huge in Europe, right? And so that depends on what they're going to do when Android cuts off support. For 5G, we have pressured, the U.S. has pressured Europe to drop Huawei so that they don't potentially give the Chinese government an in. Although, if they use the U.S., they've got to worry about the U.S. government having that same inroad on that end.
Now, Jeremy,
so Europe's kind of caught in the middle.
They say about that Android operating system, they've been cut off from that, but they say that they're going to develop their own. They say, the heck with you guys, we're going to do our own OS. What do you think their chances are of coming up with a good operating system to go against what they're losing from Android?
Well, just in the last hour or so, Huawei said that reports that they would have an operating system out by June, a proprietary operating system, were not accurate, and they don't plan to have something out that fast. So we're going to have to see what they come up with, because they're going to have to come up with something. And honestly, what they're offering now is the ability for a third operating system besides iOS and Android to have a solid home, right? Huawei is the second largest manufacturer of phones right now, above Apple, behind Samsung. So if they put a new operating system in, it naturally has a base that could develop a third one. But are they far enough along to put that operating system? Do they have a proprietary operating system ready to go? Would they try to buy one? Would they look for somebody else? So that's a big question that I'm sure Huawei is trying to figure out right now, and the answer will be fascinating for the future of smartphone operating systems.
Very quickly, do we end up, Jeremy, put on your magic cap where you can see into the future, do we end up with a deal that gives Huawei a break from where we are now with Huawei?
I don't know. I was fascinated by the fact that there was a signal that we could wrap Huawei into the rest of the U.S.-China trade negotiations.
Yeah.
Right? I did not see that. I saw those as two different tracks, right? Huawei going more with what we've done over the past 8 to 10 years to protect our tech intellectual property, and trade being something completely different. So bringing those two in together, I have no idea where that's going to go and what's going to lead to that. I would have to think you can't wrap Huawei in, but once you do, what happens then with how far we've already gone down this road? So there's no telling if that gets wrapped into this trade deal, where it goes from there. Or if we just go back to basically status quo from a couple months ago.
The great Tom Sowell said there are no economic solutions. There are only trade-offs, and it's going to be some kind of trade-off in the end. Jeremy Owens, great to see you. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, David.